compelling detective story, a cloak and dagger action, and a romantic drama, all these stories were taken from real life. The history of Kazakhstan is inseparable from the world history. Reflections on history, our version. Puzzle Peninsula. Towering rocks have been glancing silently from above for centuries, scraping the edges of clouds. Glittering with all shades of gravel and white colors, they bedazzle their outlines as if they're the aliens that somehow beamed up here with their whole entourage. We stepped on Usturt. Full of mixed feelings, we headed out to the country of which we knew little. This land was an absolute mystery to us. We traveled across the country as if it was an enormous and deserted room. We even tried to restrain our horses from pounding too loud on the room floor. The total area of the enormous desert room is around 200,000 square kilometers. Ancient Herodotus referred to these places as the boundaries of the inhabited world. But in essence, this is an archaeological nature reserve. It's not a mere wildlife here, or simply uninhabited areas. The matter at hand is about an intact part of human civilization. Variety of elements here resemble Nazca Desert, including the rocky sculptures of an unknown civilization, underground temples with unusual pictures, cryptic stone spheres and sacred springs. The Puzzle Peninsula is called Mangestau. It's not likely to share its secrets, but one can't help falling under its spell. These arrows were found when the aerial photographs were taken over Usturt Plateau. It really is a Martian landscape. Perhaps back then the aliens had stopped here, and maybe Indra's chariot had passed precisely through this place. Chapter 1. Following the Arrow. From above, the earth is said to be reminiscent of camels, its main inhabitants. Rocks are the humps, while bald patches with rare vegetation are like wool after molting. And here are the signs. Some are evidently of artificial origin, others are almost a kilometer long. These are Usturt's mysterious signs. They have been found by a mere chance 30 years ago. Arrow-shaped marks, which had never been seen in archaeological practice before, have been located during the analysis of aerial photography images. Gigantic sizes of the marks make them completely imperceptible when looked at from average human height. One can tread over the arrows hundreds of times, unaware of a unique memorial lying right under one's feet. Once the marks came to light, they made a genuine sensation. Who created them and what exactly do the famous arrows mean? They might have been the debris of an ancient caravanserai, landing guides for unidentified flying objects, water drains left from the Neolithic times, or even road maps for Peru's pioneering aeronauts, who supposedly made intercontinental parachute-assisted flights. A series of stones are lying around. They are various sizes, but they are arranged in a way that they form a neat line. From a human eye level, there is nothing abnormal, just rocky walls randomly destroyed. Finding the key to a puzzle in the heap of stones is very difficult for an uninitiated traveler. It's almost like looking for a needle in a haystack. We sized it up, and it added up to some 180 meters. We also noticed that a few meters from the end point of this stone line, a new file springs up and goes along the plateau's escarp. We measured it as well, and it was 200 meters in length. We also gauged the distance between the far ends of the lines, and it was 190 meters. So it forms a triangle. Well, not the Bermuda Triangle, but just as mysterious. On the tips of each angle, there are huge rings. Archaeologists have so far found 60 such arrows. Apart from the exterior appearance, they also have one thing in common. The mammoth signs on Ustur Plateau, unlike the Nazca Desert's marks, are arranged according to some unfathomed principle. They're pointing to the Aral Sea.
Это действительно такой регион, да, вот, который...
You know, this is the region which we still haven't looked at the same way as we view, for instance, Egyptian pyramids, or the Maya pyramids, and the like.
Пирамиды майя и так далее.
In fact, in Mangistau, archaeologists have found dozens of pyramid-shaped constructions. However, they are different from Egyptian or Peruvian structures in terms of size and fabric. But the purpose of their presence is also a great riddle. Chapter 2. Inscrutable Architects. How can one pull it? The bow's knockdown power is 100 meters. Despite its lethal effect, precisely the arrows or their images were used by nomads primarily as protection from negative powers. In fact, the Massagettians used a quiver with arrows attached to the nomadic tent to signify what today denotes the verify of marriage. Even after death, the bows and the arrows would follow their deceased owner. When did iron arrowheads appear? Did they merge together, I mean with the arrow? The iron ones? Around the time of the Iron Age. Why does it have a bone point then? The bone point has been around until recently. So they were both iron and bone arrowheads? These arrowheads were also found in the rock fills forming the mysterious arrows of Usturt. At home, I've got many arrowheads, including stone, copper, bronze, and iron arrowheads. But who were archers ethnically? The most ancient stone building is dated at about the 14th and the 12th centuries BC. But there is one other thing. A unique complex of archaeological sites was found in the vicinity of the giant arrows. Hypothetically, they were part of an unknown nomadic culture who might have built these extraordinary arrows. A multitude of broken stone statues were found around 2 burial hills in a relatively small area. They were mainly big and medium-sized sculptures. Despite the fact that they had been thrown down on the ground and broken, it was evident that the statues had stood in a definite order shaped like a Russian letter P. Apparently, this gallery made a striking sight lit up by the sun rays. Their faces were pointed over there to the side of the underworld. The sites supposedly belonged to the Massagettians, who were one of the mysterious ancient tribes. The most well-known legend from the history of this people and the most famed steppe female warrior is linked with Queen Tomiris.
Өзі бастап жауға шапқан. Міне Томирис ханның ерлігі.
She was a great queen and a heroine. When Persian King Cyrus attacked her empire, she led the troops on her own and defeated him.
İmperiyasını saqlaq qaldı.
From the mankind's historical viewpoint, the Massagettians showed themselves as great warriors. Interestingly, from above, stone arrows seem like a military chart, presumably showing the direction of a massive strike. Alternatively, this could have been a road sign. The remarkable Atlantic is said to have been situated somewhere around the Aral Sea region. Chapter 3. Why the Sky is on Fire. Everything's a lot more mundane, archaeologist Lev Galkin said reassuringly. The arrows are nomads' hunting enclosures, the so-called arans. This is one of his favorite research areas, similarly like the rest of artifacts from western Kazakhstan. Have you worked for a long time in the Atyrau-Mangistau region? From 1975 onwards, I have been connected with the region. He's connected to it by a book which he's writing about these very arans. He personally found many of the enclosure structures. Bones of wild animals and arrowheads back up his version. Lev Leonidovich is confident that Western Kazakhstan is not just an archaeological gem of the world, but also one of the most enigmatic places. Such as storms here. This is a slight storm. And still the sky is on fire. In Ustjord, because when a dust storm is sweeping by, sand gets electrified and makes charges that light up the sky. Extraordinary climatic phenomena and unusual landscapes have generated a lot of myths, with each of them having some historical information encoded. For example, an ancient legend about Kalamkas areas supports the version whose proponents say that the cryptic buildings were designed for hunting. The legend has it that the area is called after a girl who had died when mouflons were being impounded. She apparently fell in the pit with the beasts. This is one of the hunting principles. When a herd is wandering around, the animals come over here and see the stones. Naturally, they go along the stone lines. In fact, in ancient times, people hunted not only on horseback, but also on chariots. Quite often, impounders used the help of hunting birds and even tamed cheetahs. When they were being chased down by hunters, the animals ran off and tried to jump over the stones. When the entire herd rushed over to get out of the trap, the hunters would be back out waiting for prey. The round items on the ends of arrow-shaped structures were presumably poles. Of course, the animals couldn't get out of the trap single-handedly. All the people who lived in this place round the year except winter hunt a lot and stock up on food for winter. Saiga antelopes, onugers, urals and other animals are grazing in the steppes of that place. Meat of hunted animals can be cheap and costs little. Wild cloven-hooved animals can be found here as well. Interestingly enough, they're not deterred by humans. The tradition of building corrals had existed until the 19th century. Apparently, one century erased thousands of years of hunting pursuit ordeals from the animal's racial memory. However, it's quite probable that apart from practical things, the arans also performed other, so far undiscovered, functions. Epilogue: Speechless artifacts. Mangistau Peninsula is almost transfixed with secrets and legends like with invisible arrows. Even conservative estimates show that half of Kazakhstan's entire archaeological artifacts are situated here. In total, there are over 25,000 historical sites in Kazakhstan, with around 12,000 of them found in Mangistau. It's quite surprising that with all the time that has passed, these sites have retained their beauty and they're stunning with their architectural individuality. Researchers are sure that the local harsh climate helps to preserve the relics. Over the past 30 years, this unique archaeological reserve has been a fountain of great surprises. However, its main wealth is that so far, not a single secret of the peninsula has been puzzled out through and through.